Williamson? Here. Matt Schneider? Here. Metz? Here. Mahoka?
Here.
Rose?
Here.
Weaver? Here.
Okay, I believe the next item on our agenda is a resolution excusing Foster Neal. Foster sent an email forward to Mrs. Gillis indicating why he couldn't be here this evening, so we just need to, I need a motion to accept the resolution excusing Foster Neal.
Motion to accept the resolution excusing Foster Neal.
Second. 9 of us seconded.
Okay.
Go and call roll.
Cochran?
Yes.
Williamson? Matt Schneider? Metz?
Yes.
Mahoka?
Yep.
Rose?
Yes.
Weaver?
Okay, that's done. Okay, we do have somewhat packed agenda this evening. Anything else that needs to go on or should come off the agenda at this point? So just voice vote to approve the agenda.
We'll just go.
Just moving on, okay. Approving of the minutes of May 2nd. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections?
I did all yours.
You did all of it, okay. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes? Second,
Second.
minutes are approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We have no communications that I'm aware of. Mrs. Gillis, are there any communications? No committee reports at this time. Okay, under old business, we did have a few things hanging out from chapter 3, and I think the bulk of these were things that I went over with Mr. Fowler. We had a chance to look at the document that I sent. And let's make sure that there are no questions remaining. So starting with 3.10, the acting city manager. Mrs. Gillis and I met with Mr. Gifford, the city manager, and this came up in our conversation. What happens if ordinarily the city manager appoints someone to hold the fort for him while he's on vacation? But there didn't appear to be any provision in here in case the city manager has to be on a prolonged absence. And as you may read from Brad's answer, there does seem to be a hole there. And what happens if the manager becomes incapacitated for an extended period and is not able to appoint an acting manager, and that therefore the position is not formally vacated and therefore the commission can't appoint. So he offered us 3 remedies, which I don't know if you've had the chance to look through. Either creating a deputy manager position or designate a particular office as also being the deputy manager to serve in the event the manager is incapacitated or temporarily unable to carry out the duties of the office. Or the charter in subsection B could mandate, and he suggested changing may to shall, that the manager shall designate someone to carry out the duties of that office in the event of a long absence or incapacitation. We talked about this with the city manager, and the question that came up, which I think was a very valid one, is if you're talking about appointing another city employee to a long period of taking over the manager's duties, the likelihood of their wanting to do that is slim to none, because that's a huge responsibility. So behind door number 3, we can revise subsection A to simply provide the added language during any vacancy or incapacitation or prolonged absence in the office of city manager, which seems to me to kind of take care of it. How do you feel about it?
Where'd that go?
In subsection A,
Yep, the city commission shall appoint an acting city manager during any vacancy in the office of the city manager.
now what he's suggesting is inserting the phrase or incapacitation or prolonged absence in the office of city manager. That's right, it's on Brad's thing.
And whereabouts in here?
It would go,
10A after vacancy.
during any vacancy or
Or an incapacity.
incapacitation or prolonged absence in the office of city manager. No. Question is, do you think that that satisfies? Yeah. Think that satisfies?
That should do it.
That should do it. What about you ladies? Make sense? Okay, very good. Okay, section 3.13, clerk duties and responsibilities. Okay, where'd it go? Oh, okay.
We're gonna D added to it?
Under yours? 313?
Okay, well, she's got, she's got D, the city clerk to perform the duties of the president of the population.
Okay, what Brad suggested that we amend that a little bit to read. You with me, Stacy? Okay. The city clerk shall be responsible for administering elections pursuant to state law and the provisions of this charter as laid out in chapter 5.
And then we would get rid of this.
Okay. That about covers it? Okay. Brad also raised whether or not we wanted to include the clerk's duties regarding FOIA, and I will have Tammy address this one. 'Cause,
Okay, as far as FOIA, I don't see where in the statute where it says FOIA coordinator, it just says that the city or village clerk will designate an individual as a FOIA coordinator. I mean, that could change. Right now, it's in my job description, but that could change very easily. 99.99% of the FOIAs we get are all police reports.
From the police department.
Right, that could change.
And
It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be always the clerk's responsibility.
Plus the plot here, where is it referenced?
It's here in Brad's stuff.
Oh, but not, it isn't in here right
it's
now.
not in there right now.
Right, and I don't know that we probably want it in the charter, 'cause that could change. It's a job description job.
So what Tammy is saying is it's already in her job description.
Right, but that could change.
But the vast majority of the requests that come in are coming through the police department, and a young lady by the name of April Decatur, who works for public safety, handles those. So what Tammy's suggesting is we don't want to codify it under the clerk's responsibilities for that reason.
Not in the charter, where you're like this. You know, because I said, it's just a job description duty. It may stay in the clerk's office forever, but it may not, who knows? But if it's in the charter, then you don't have any leeway.
So, question? We all good with just leaving it
I'm good.
as it is? Anyone? Okay, very good. Section 3.15, under city treasurer, section G. What did those last four lines actually mean? And did we need to keep them? There was some confusion about this, so I had checked with, when we met with Mark Gifford, I suggested maybe I could reach out to Lorraine James, who's on the city commission right now, who was our city treasurer for 6 years, to get her input on that. She filled me in on what the procedure has been and probably continues to be regarding any malfeasance. It sounded to us like that those two lines may be referenced if we discover malfeasance in the treasurer's office. Then the commission could move the accounting to somewhere else. Apparently, as has been laid out, if, first of all, some of you may or may not know, we are required to have an audit every year. And we hire auditors external auditors to do that. So that's already one mechanism for trying to defend against any malfeasance going on in the treasurer's office. If a discrepancy is found, let's say if a treasurer was found to be guilty of something, they'd file a police report. And she says the employee is suspended and the state is contacted. And if the auditors find anything, they contact the state. So as far as the illicit stuff that's going on, that's the process. What Brad suggested, what his reading of this was, and again, getting back to that flexibility issue, was that it's really to provide the commission with the flexibility to move the management of accounts outside the treasurer's office if necessary. So his advice was to leave that in. I'm inclined to agree with him, just to make sure that we give them that kind of leeway should that circumstance arise. So upshot of that is we can just leave that in without changing anything. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? You're with me? Okay. Okay, section 3.16, city attorney appointment. We had knocked around, language to indicate the contracting process as opposed to the appointment process. And I think we have this pretty well down. Brad suggested, our idea was to have the city commission shall select and appoint the city attorney at the compensation approved or contracted by the city commission, and he suggested to remove for routine and normal duties of that role, because he felt that would kind of constrict the flexibility of the attorney. Should they need it. So what this looks like it's going to read is this: the city commission shall select and appoint a person or a firm to serve as a city attorney at the compensation approved or contracted by the city commission, period. And then the city attorney shall serve at the pleasure of the city commission. How does everyone feel about that?
For me.
Does that work? Short and sweet and to the point? Okay. We can do the exact same thing then with 3.18, the city assessor. And I think we already have that language, right? Assessor shall serve. Yeah. Okay. Everyone good with those two? Excellent. Those are the things that were hanging out from chapter 3.
Is that everything with chapter 3 then?
Well, those are the things from Brad.
Are you done with 3 then?
I think
We did finish going through 3 last year,
Okay, so that's all done then.
unless there's changes that anyone wants.
Okay, so then at the next meeting, I can do a resolution to approve the changes for 3. Okay.
Okay. Yay. Oh, we're good.
Not saying that we can't go back and look at something.
Oh, wait, you can go back to look at anything until we send it to the governor. It's
Yeah.
up for reading.
Yep.
Okay, Tammy, are you gonna walk us through the chart? Do you wanna do that tonight, or do you wanna put that to another meeting?
I didn't print the chart out, so no, I'm not prepared to walk it through.
Okay, I'm not sure that, I think I would prefer we move on to chapter 4, and we will come back, so let's reflect that we're going to table it? Just move it. Move the discussion.
We'll just put it for the agenda, review chart, yeah. Discussion of this is a chart. I think everybody got emailed the chart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Is there any way you can send that as a PDF?
Yeah.
I don't have a
Okay.
spreadsheet program that'll open it,
Okay.
Okay.
because I'm cheap.
Well, I don't know about you, but my eyeballs can't take those tiny little
Yeah.
blocks. I'm just saying.
I know, and I did, I didn't get a chance to print it out because it's, there's a printout that easy and I have to have my expert over there to print it out. We just didn't have time. We've been in election training all afternoon.
I will just say, Tam and I have sat for a few hours going through the various statutes for a number of these boards, which answers the question of why we can't just make them all consistent.
Yeah.
And some of them were a little easier to understand than others of them. However, we got there, so we will save that conversation for another meeting. And therefore, we will proceed on to new business, and let's take a look at chapter 4. Now, we do have a couple of things. Is it 4.1?
4.1A, first one from Brad.
My husband printed this off back to back, so I can't figure out which one it is. Because I'm a little challenged in this regard. There we go.
Thing we had issue with was the city commission shall be sole judge of the elections and
Yeah.
qualifications, and
No, I'm
You know,
sitting right here in front of me.
What Brad says, and I didn't know what that meant. And he says that I think the language, I don't think the language needs to be changed. I think it basically means that if a citizen or resident challenges whether a commissioner is qualified or was elected, it is the commission itself that will review and decide that matter, not anyone else in the city. It is implied that the commission decision would be subject to review by the courts.
And what he said to me was, basically what the commission would do was go to the charter and verify that they did in fact follow the charter in terms of determining qualifications and certainly in terms of election. So he said we really didn't need to. That's what that,
I just didn't understand what that meant. As far as I know, whoever's gonna, the county canvasses the election. I don't think I was under. I'm looking election stuff up here and I don't think that's what this was.
I guess that, that simply speaks to the possibility that someone from the public would say, this person's not qualified. And the commission can say, yes, they are, here are the criteria. Or, yes, he was duly elected, here are the election criteria.
Right.
So I think that's what that, one of those mystery passages. Okay, we all good on that one? Section 4.3, this is new.
We did have some changes proposed by city staff and the departments for section 4.1.
Okay.
Oh, for 4.1?
Yep. So 4.1A is similar to a section we had changed before where we didn't like the wording, where it sounded like they had to be registered electors and residents of the city for at least 1 year.
Right.
We had changed that.
Right, it's, yeah, you have to be a resident for 1 year and a registered voter, but the registered voter doesn't have to be for a year. So we need
So
to.
we just thought we were going to transpose those, right?
Yeah, I think we did, didn't we?
So I
Put the residency first.
I think that's what we were gonna do.
do think I have the proper language, but if you guys want to take a look at it.
Are we doing his or her, or are we doing there?
I think we're doing there.
You're asking too much of me. I can't think and type at the same
I'm
time.
sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's read that out loud, Stacy. Read that out loud to us.
So the mayor and city commissioners must be residents of the city for at least 1 year immediately prior to the last day for filing petitions, and such office, that might be for such office,
Such honors.
or prior to the time of their appointment to fill a vacancy and registered electors.
Could we clarify that by making some bullet points, like, or a 1 and a 2? Just because even when you rearrange it, it's
long
so extended. So the mayor and city commissioners shall be, 1, residents of the city for at least 1 year immediately prior to the last day for filing petitions for such office, or prior to the time of their appointment to fill a vacancy, and 2, registered electors. That might just,
Yeah, just the numbers in parentheses would work
Yeah.
in front of each part.
Yeah. Can we do that, like put a 1 in front of residents?
It doesn't want to format for me though.
Yeah, if you can figure out how to make Word do it, and it won't
Wait a
let you.
minute, I thought technology was supposed to help us.
You know, as long as you don't want to put a 1 after an A.
it probably doesn't want to do it because you've
I'm
already.
not sure we need to
Just put
bullet it.
No,
I think
don't
we
bullet it,
put
just
the
put number
numbers in
1.
there.
Yeah, you don't need to bullet it, just put number 1 in there. I do that all the time. Cause it's that friendly.
Like, right as part of the paragraph copy.
1,
Got
yeah,
it.
residents of the city for at least 1 year.
And 2, registered electors.
Can't put an enter in there either, can you?
That's what, it doesn't really need to be indented or mechanically handled anyway.
Well,
other
I was
than-
just trying to separate out registered electors and it's
Gotcha.
messing with it.
A mind of its own.
Yeah, both of them.
Oh, man. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm looking forward to my cataract surgery because I can't see.
Do you have it scheduled?
Yes, August 20th for the first one, September 30th.
It'll make such a difference.
I hear that.
My husband had it.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited they're gonna stick a needle in my eye.
I was born with one, so I don't know what it's like to have it happen gradually.
Oh, interesting. Well, they suggested one for long distance and one for short, near distance. I'm going for that.
We'll be running and everything.
Because I'm gonna be bionic. How are we doing there, Stace?
So I think that's, right, that's just a continuation there.
Okay.
So the rest of that says that members of the city commission shall remain residents of the city during their entire term of office. The city commission, that's the part that we already talked about with Brad.
Okay. We're done with A. Anything else in 4.1 that we were supposed to be talking about?
4.1C,
C,
I believe we were just getting rid of that whole section.
Yeah, I've got next in front of it.
We got some stuff in B, it looks like, too. My book is all scribbled. Anyway,
yeah, okay.
hey, did you have something in B? That we talked about?
I don't have any notes in that section.
Okay, so I've got, no person, so B, I'll just read it. No person shall be eligible for any elective or appointed city office. No, okay.
Well, I think
No, we kept that in there.
you offered some language for the next line. Any person who is currently in office
In office,
and in such default.
in such default shall automatically be removed from office unless the default is limited for 30 days. Unless the person is in good faith. We were gonna get rid of under written notification by the city commission. So you want me to read that again, Stacy?
Yeah.
I think I got the
Oh.
first part.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Any person who is currently in office and in such default shall automatically.
Okay, you want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Okay, no, we're gonna start all over. No person shall be eligible for any elective or appointed city office who is in default of the city. That stays the same. Any person who is currently in office and is
And in
in,
such default,
who is in such default shall automatically be removed from office unless the default is eliminated within 30 days and then get rid
Period.
of
period.
after written notification by the city commission. And then that comma there, unless a person in good faith is contesting the liability for the default.
Are we getting rid of all of that section?
Nope, that stays in. Just that, after written notification of city commission,
And that should be a comma after days rather than a period.
after 30 days.
Sorry, that was me. We don't even need a comment on this.
Right.
Okay, we got the language. Unless the default is eliminated within 30 days, unless the person in good faith is contesting the liability for the default. Good?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else in 4.1? That's all of 4.1, I think, right? Did anyone notice anything, 4.2, that needs to be? Anything highlighted?
These are just notes to catch my eye.
Oh, okay.
I have done this before this.
Okay. Section 4.3 just came up recently, and Brad mentioned this, that he was requesting us to make a change here. I don't know if you're aware, some of you, that Commissioner Jonathan Epley resigned recently and needed to have his resignation effective immediately. And they weren't having another regular meeting, I don't think, until a week or 2 weeks, and he needed to have it effective immediately. So they had a special meeting in order to accept his resignation, which then I believe they ratified
We ratify at the next meeting, yeah.
in the next meeting.
So technically, we did it twice.
Okay, so what Brad suggested was to change the last phrase, at its next regular meeting, just take out regular. Which he thinks,
I think it should be regular or special meeting.
well, he thought just the next meeting would include the special meeting. I feel like it's still not that clear.
Yeah, I've got in my book special or, because really, next meeting, you're kind of assuming it's the next regular meeting.
That was my reading about it.
Yeah, me too.
So I was suggesting either at its next regular or special meeting.
I think that clarifies it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel a little better making it
do
a
too.
little clearer.
Because otherwise, we're in the same boat we were just in.
Yeah, exactly, so. Okay. You're good. Section 4.4. The big issue there is to change the 45 days after the vacancy occurs to 90 days. Now, Tammy, what was the rationale for 90 days?
It's just too short. Especially when we have, I mean, it used to be, we used to have commission meetings the first and third.
Right.
Well, we've changed that now because of elections. If it's election month, it's now back to back. And you don't, now it's, from the second one to another one, might be almost 28 days before another meeting. And you don't have enough time by the time you get your interest indicators out, get them back, schedule a meeting for interviews, schedule a meeting to determine who's going to get the position. It's not enough time.
So do you think 60 days would still not be enough?
You're talking, when the commission only meets every 2 weeks. No, I mean, I would say up to 90. They don't have to use the 90 days,
Up to 90 days, I like that.
but at least, but at least it gives them that little
it gives them that
flexibility.
leeway.
I mean, they don't have to use it, but at least they have it.
As we have been talking since the beginning, the difficulty with getting people to participate. And there's no way to gauge how much time it's going to take to find someone. So I like that idea of up to 90 days.
Or it says within 90 days, I guess you.
Within 90 days, yeah. It gives them that leeway.
Yeah. It's 45, it's really tight.
I
Okay,
have a question about that one.
yeah.
Is it somewhere else in the charter or somewhere else in general? What happens if there is a recall?
Yeah, there's in section 5 under elections.
There's a recall section in here, I've seen it. But yeah, that's probably under this one where it says elections.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
It's the
whole
last,
other
it's the
animal.
last two, it's the last
Okay, I
two
just wanted to make
subsections
sure
in
it's
section 5.
Somewhere else, we're good.
It is.
Question just related to the change that we just made, rereading section 4.4. That's appointment of a person to serve as interim. And so do we want to lengthen out the appointment of an interim to 90 days?
Actually, this person here, the next commissioner that's gonna set up there, will take over until the next,
Election.
next city election. And then they have to be put on the ballot. So regardless of when that is, and that could be any time.
What I'm saying though is you were saying it isn't, right, 45 days isn't enough time
Maybe to appoint somebody.
even just to appoint somebody
Just to
to
appoint.
serve as
We're
interim.
not having an election, just to appoint. Just to appoint, because you've got so many things. that
There
you-
needs to be time for advertising it.
Yep.
People need to have time to respond with the materials that are required. Then there's, hopefully, there's an interview process. And so we want to give the commission enough time to be able to carry that out.
Okay.
Give people enough time to step up and.
Special meetings. Try to do it at some regular meetings.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Okey-dokey. Anything else in chapter 4? And then the only other thing that I was interested in having us talk about was the possible addition of section 4.11, the non-discrimination and civil rights. And I appreciate this is kind of wordy, but I just wanted to put it out there for you, get your thoughts on what you think about adding this.
Logical.
This is something that just is not in the charter currently.
Yeah, we talked about that at one point.
I mean, it kind of seems to fit with appointments, removals, and promotions, because it's sort of like criteria for the consideration of people, I guess, I don't know.
Except for the part where we're doing business with the city, that, that kind of,
Yeah.
I think it should be its own spot.
So like 4.11?
Yeah.
4.9 is appointments, removals, promotions. 4.10 is
Benefits.
diversity. Well, I was thinking employee benefits maybe goes last.
Or maybe it just doesn't belong in that section at all, maybe there's another chapter that it fits.
Well, I think at Brian's point, I think it does kind of fit there too, maybe not worded this way, but let me think about this for a minute here.
What if it becomes the new 4.9, because there's financial interest prohibited, right? And then, so that kind of is a disclaimer against, right, like, how do I say, the good faith under which people are serving the city.
Well, that really speaks to the ethics policy,
Yeah.
right? Not having financial conflicts of interest.
And then immediately thereafter, there's another ethical component that is the equity or the DEIJ piece. It seems to me could lodge under there. So section 4.9 becomes 4.10, 4.10 becomes 4.11, and then the new section 4.9 is that DEIJ.
So you're suggesting the DEI be 4.9
Yeah.
and move everybody else down?
That works for me. I think it needs to at least be next to this one anyway.
That makes sense to me too.
And then do we want that DEIJ piece to be something that we take into the subcommittee for wordsmithing so that we're not trying to construct it word by word?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But let me just ask broadly in terms of the intent of the section, is there anything in there that you don't see that you'd like to see, or that otherwise, the wordsmithing group can play around with it when we get to it? Are we all agreed that we need to have a section like this in the charter? Let me start with the prior.
I agree.
Okay, so for our purposes tonight, we're gonna call this 4.9. Stacy, and then we're gonna move everything down a number. Okay, very good. All right. Is there any other discussion about chapter 4? Jove, I think we've heard it. Okay. Moving on to chapter 5. Okay, chapter 5, unless someone sees something prior to this. Well, let me go back a second here. Tammy, what did section 5.3 under wards and precincts? Did we decide that that language is sufficient as it is?
We have one ward,
Yeah.
and we have 3 precincts, but that could change.
But that could change.
That could change. You cannot put how many precincts we have in here.
Okay.
Because that could very well go back to 4, or go back to 5. We've had 5, and we went to 3. We may go 3, and we may go to 2. And we may go 3, we may go to 5. Depends on your elected voters. I mean, that has gotta be that's gotta be flexible. Yeah. If we get a ton of people coming in and we get a lot more registered voters, we need more precincts. So, yeah, you can't.
Okay, very good. Now, section 5.4. We had we're going to start that by saying a general municipal election shall be held in the city on the Tuesday after the first Monday in November
I think.
of every odd numbered year. Is that it?
Yeah.
I do have a question on why we're doing it in odd years. Do you have any idea why we do it?
Probably to not coincide with presidential
Yeah, that would be.
elections is my
It ends
guess.
up with lower turnout.
It does, I know.
Is that would be a new addition this time, the odd year?
That's what they've been doing
That's what they've been doing it's odd
since,
years,
ever since I've lived here.
Yeah, and somehow, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but somehow it seems to me that I've read something, one of the books about the general law or whatever, Home Rule Act, that something to do maybe with that.
Okay, I'll get through some of that stuff and see if I can find some. Just,
Because it would be extremely hard to have it in even years.
yeah,
Like this year, if we had to have our,
yeah.
I'm cringing already. I saw it. And if we had to have petitions out and everything else along with the presidential.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That said,
Hiring a new, no, I can't.
that said, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we're looking to put the revised charter on the 26th ballot
Yeah,
in November,
yeah, that's easy.
which is a
It's a
midterm.
lot easier than putting a bunch of, candidates on there.
That's a midterm election, federal election thing, but
Right.
not a presidential.
Right.
Okay, so are we good
Okay, let me
for
see.
5.4? 5.5,
Well, we're not done with 5.4 yet.
oh, I beg your pardon.
I don't think.
We were gonna strike,
I was gonna-
strike,
Yeah.
this shall be known as the general municipal election. Take some words out of there. All other municipal elections shall be known as special municipal elections. Are you good with that, Tam?
Yep.
Okay,
I think Brad's got the next one, yeah.
Yeah, the next one is the one that was causing us a little agita because of the new election laws. And the discussion basically centered around the fact that as a result of the new state election laws, which require 6 days post-election to account for overseas ballots coming in, military, expats, whomever that might be. Then our question was, what happens if the next commission meeting overlaps that date? So,
See, that we have them back to back now, and there's not that 2-week.
yeah, right,
Or what happens if you have a recall election,
right.
a recount election, anything like that? You don't have that flexibility.
Right. So I sat down, Mr. Fowler here, and he did a little research for me and said that it so happens that a committee within the state legislature, House Bills 5699 to 5702, they passed these out of the committee. They still have to go to the legislature as a whole, but they would require city officials to begin their terms of office no earlier than December 1st, beginning 2025. The bills would also provide that an individual elected to fill a vacancy as a result of a special election could not take office until the election is certified by the appropriate board of canvassers. Now, when Tammy and I were talking about what if someone demands a recount, which is entirely possible in this day and age, or what if there's a recall effort, which take even longer? What do we do? Would we be able to accommodate that and still start people on December 1st? So we actually bounced around the idea of moving it to January, the first commission meeting in January. Brad suggested that we kind of keep our eye on these bills, which I will be happy to do. But he said even if they don't pass, it would probably be a good idea to rethink when we're going to start the new term. And then, of course, if we go to January, which is very similar to what they do in the federal government, the current office holders would simply stay in office until they change over at that first commission meeting in January. How do we feel about that?
I said we go to January 1st, it makes sense.
It would be the first commission meeting in January.
First commission meeting in January, that would make sense.
I feel like that would cover us for,
The commission could also change their rules of procedure and have maybe the rules approved maybe in February instead of January, so that the new people would give a chance to be able to look them over. Because, at the first Me-Too meetings in January, they approved the meeting dates, which is a no-brainer, but they also approve the rules of procedure. Well, the new people don't even know what that is. Never even seen them. See, I usually put them out in December, so they have a month to look at them before they have to, review them. So they may have to make some different changes if we go to January. But at least if you pick a date or a month and say, okay, now we can say the commission seat is from here to here. If you just say what I want, the certification of the election, it's in limbo. You don't have an ending date anytime, because you don't know what that ending date is. So at least I would think by January, you would definitely know that. I just don't know. December sounds okay, I just don't know. That's, in this day and age, I don't know with recounts, I'd be afraid of the recounts. Let me ask for a
actually,
recount.
I like the idea of starting a new term with the new year. There's like a symmetry there.
Kind of my thought. I was always, when I was researching it running, I was like, why do they start in November? It seemed kind of odd that it's November, not January, because most things you go to, most elected offices or anything, a committee or anything, you're going to start in your terms in January, and it's like, November? Why? Okay.
Right in the middle of holiday
It's like a
season.
Thursday meeting, which is actually Tuesday, and you're taking over the following
Exactly.
Monday. It's
Yeah.
like-
And I guess to kind of address your thing with the rules of procedure, unless, of course, it was like really close and you have to wait for votes. You could almost send out the rules of procedure between that period,
You
from
could.
November,
You absolutely could.
December, and then they could still do it in January, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You
I
could
mean,
send them to both.
Yeah,
You absolutely could. You could, because you know who's going to be on the commission, you just
Yeah.
send it to them.
yep.
I mean, that's an excellent idea. You could absolutely do that, and they could still do it in January.
Okay,
How do we want that worded? Oh, she's already.
so we're gonna try that.
Proposal, feel free to change.
Okay from that one?
Yeah, the terms of office shall commence on the first city commission meeting in January of following the election.
Yeah, provided the current office holders will serve out their full term. I think that works, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, and then those people would just go right up until the January, but that's gonna be their full term, that's. For the first year, it'll be a little longer than the 4 years, but then after that, it'll go into place.
Right. Now, 5.5, item C. My question to you is this, because this is something, if we want to try to, separate mayor terms from commissioner terms, that's something we have to take to the public. And we would need to get public input well before the fact of putting this on the ballot. Okay, and of course, that requires that we really think out how you want to do that. There needs to be a lot of informing and a lot of educating about that, because people just, it's just a natural tendency. They hear a number and they go, no way. That's the mistake we made the last time. We were talking about 20 years and they're like, no way. And I would have done the same if I had been presented at
This
that.
one here, you need public.
So,
Now, is that maybe a survey where you were talking
do you,
about-
well, first let's, do you want to mess with this? That's the first question.
I've got a
You want to
question
take it on?
on this one, because I was just reading it beforehand, even before I got on this committee. What was the reasoning behind them doing the 12 and then 1 year off as a city commissioner being eligible again? Is it really?
Because we have what we consider term limits.
Okay, right,
Townships don't have term limits.
right.
You can be at, you keep going until someone, runs against you, you're there
Correct.
forever. We don't, we have term limits. You're off it. So if you want to run again, you can. Of course, it's always going to be 2 years, because we only have, every other, it's an odd
Right,
number of
yeah.
years. So it works out to be 2 years. But that's the reason, because we have term limits.
I guess my question has always been, because I hear the term limit, I think, once you hit your term limit, you're done, you can't rerun, but I get why we have to let them rerun, because if not, we're not gonna have enough people to run. I mean, look at this current situation, we've got 3 candidates for the open position now, so I mean, you don't have a lot of pool out there, so, okay, I just kinda wondering, I was just wondering about that, so.
We've always had limits where a lot of
Yeah.
people don't have
Makes
those.
sense, that makes sense, I mean, I was just kinda wondering, makes sense.
I wouldn't want to do away with the limits. I would be interested in seeing separation between commission and mayor duties.
That's what I was thinking is, you can be 12 years as a commissioner and then 4 years as a mayor, or 8 years as a mayor, as long as they were 2 different jobs.
We talked
do that.
about splitting.
You don't like that idea?
We talked about splitting that up because Ann's dad was in that, where he was on the commission for, 2 terms? And then he was,
Well, he was halfway through
right,
that second term.
and then
When he
he
became the
switched to
mayor.
mayor, but it was all together. He could only serve 12 years,
Yeah.
combination of this and the mayor, so he couldn't run for mayor again.
Yeah.
He just got his feet wet, you know what I mean, or Mark Warble was the same way, just got his feet wet and couldn't go any further because he's already at the 12 years.
Keeps you from having as informed a mayor as you could have, I think.
Yeah, the rationale,
And that's what we put
the
on the
rationale for this, because once people get into it, they recognize there is a learning curve with government, a big learning curve.
Massive.
And it's not just about, the laws and all of that, it's just about how the commission runs, it's about your roles and responsibilities as a public servant person, that kind of thing. And And it takes time to really get it down. And you, ideally, you'd like to have people who have that institutional memory, have that experience, who are enabled to run and to continue working. And again, the argument against term limits has always been the people can decide at the ballot box if they want you to continue or not. So it doesn't, but that presumes that sufficient number of people are going to participate in the election.
And people
It's almost
don't
kind of
run
a
against each other.
catch-22.
People don't run against someone, they don't, the electors don't have the choice.
That's right. Oftentimes if you run unopposed,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people think, well, wish someone would vote. If they did, I'd vote for them.
Yeah.
But they don't. So does really the electors have the upper hand up there? They don't.
No, only, like I said, only if you can, encourage more people to get involved in running. That's whatever that is. That is what that is. Again, I guess the question is, if we think we want to tackle this, then I would almost suggest we have like a separate conversation about how to go about doing that, like as we get into the public outreach, which we're going to talk about tonight.
And that could bring back what we put on the ballot last time, the wording.
Yeah,
Because we did try to separate that out. I think we just went too many years.
but, we would really need to formulate a good, clear, concise, understandable rationale for people that they can, wrap their heads around. So let's think on that one. Hold off on C right now, but we give that some thought. Think to, by all means, bring whatever ideas you have to the table about how we can do that. And let's, we'll give it a try. What we do want to do earlier on in our process is to start gauging public interest so that we don't try to slip that in and then get our hands slapped by having them not pass the charter when we put it up for election. We want this to be approvable by the public. So let's think on that. Okay. Anything on 5.6, 7, or 5.8? I don't have any notes in mine about any changes there.
Brad had something on.
Oh, that was, actually Tammy had asked this question of Brad, if they, the third line up from the bottom,
And see,
5.8, yeah, if they, 5.8 nominating petitions, you had asked him,
number C?
yeah. Remember,
Yeah.
if they're the same date, shall not be
Yeah,
counted
that
upon any
one.
petition, then, Brad said that language was okay, and he advised us to keep it.
We got a his in there.
I said, we can take care of that later.
Yeah.
That's one of our jobs when we go smithing.
Smithing pass,
When we go to smithing, why?
Yeah, that one sounds funny in general.
Okay, was there anything else?
I did, we actually went to election training today, and I asked, of elections, the gentleman that was there. Because we have to do these petitions, and a couple of years ago, they changed legislation so that the townships could do the $100 in lieu of the signatures, but they didn't allow cities to do that. So I asked them, I said, why, for one, and whether that was ever gonna come down the pipe, because I came right in during COVID, where now we have a city, election to run, and we're asking people to go door to door for signatures. And one, nobody wanted them to knock on their doors, and two, they didn't want to. And wanted to know, could they just pay the $100 in lieu of the signatures, and they couldn't do it. So that's one thing that, we really need to lobby to get that, and why it wasn't changed along with the township, I'll never know. That's one thing that we're kind of thing we have to deal with, which is not always fun.
Township have pretty good lobbying organization, don't they? Michigan Township
But you should have just.
Association or something like that.
Advertise- a lot of stuff is put together, city, township, why it wasn't is just beyond me. Didn't make any sense.
Okay, is there anything else in 5.8? 5.9.
I think under B, says there, let's go to the B.
So you want to
Okay,
have
the
the
city
second,
clerk shall immediately notify the candidate, and it says in writing.
we
We want
wanted
a lot
to,
more, immediate, notify the candidate, and that, whichever way it means is available. I'm gonna call them up and say, hey, you don't have enough signatures, you gotta come in and get another petition, because what happens if it's the last day?
Right.
It's due at 4:00, and I'm looking at it at noon, and he still could come in and get, I'm not.
So do we wanna just take out in writing, or do we wanna put in whatever means available?
I think it would just show notify the candidate.
Yeah.
Could that petitioner say, they never notified me?
Well,
Is that covering your butt or covering their
Call
butt?
them.
say, the thing is though, I don't have enough time in writing. You don't have enough time, because then they're gonna say, well, why didn't you just call me? It's a catch-21.
so you just keep a record, you know, if you've called.
Because trust me, if I call them and I get a hold of them, they're gonna come in.
Right, and if you turn it in that late, you eliminate the option of
Oh,
sending
absolutely.
something in writing.
Yes.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, or you would put in whatever means or however you wanna do, but I think the in writing is a little obsolete for nowadays.
Okay.
Really.
I think the immediately
It happens,
captures the urgency,
right.
I hope. Yeah, and did you want, Tammy, oh, okay, you have a new petition.
Yeah, it says, the petition may then be signed by additional, you can't give out you have to give them a new one.
Okay,
You cannot give them the old one back, you have to give them a new one, so.
okay,
So to put a new petition may then be,
all right, good. Anything else in 5.9? 5.10, public inspection of petitions. Was there anything that you needed to show, Tammy, anything that, or Karen, anything that you noticed that needed to be?
this is all stuff that we have to do.
Okay, 5.12, certification of petitions, pretty straightforward. Looks to me.
And then 5.5, there's your recall.
5.13, form of ballots, nothing changed there. 5.14, canvass of vote. Yeah, 5.15, having to do with recount.
Yeah, the only thing is, what are the requirements for recounts, is with my note,
That goes by state law,
regulated by state law?
yeah. Making the recount shall conform to the provision of state law.
Okay.
The same thing with the recall. Whatever the state procedures. We can't make up our own.
Oh, phooey. That's just not right. Okay.
Too hard.
Are there any other comments, questions about chapter 5? We're doing good. Let me, if you don't mind, I'd like to transpose on the agenda under new business item D and C, since we're at chapter 6. And we are, I don't know if you were aware, we are having a joint meeting with the city commission at our next meeting, which is July 10th. To what?
I'm not gonna be able to make it to that one.
You're gonna miss it. Okay.
I'm gonna miss it.
I'm sorry. We asked, since we are coming up on chapter 6, which is the procedures for the city commission, we thought it would be a good idea to get with them, have them, but I would kind of like to have a strategy in place for us for that meeting. For our part, we can read through it ourselves and do, go through our usual process of noting things that you think might need addressing or whatever. What we need to know from them. Does anything need to be changed? Is there anything not in there that they would like to see in there? I have heard from one commissioner about something that I think she may want to suggest. So we want to get their input on how they feel about the section, what they see as needing changes. or additions or deletions. And then I guess what I'm thinking is, I thought it might be a good idea to hear from them before we launch into chapter 6, so that we have their input ready to go. So we will be meeting here. This is our regular meeting. They're coming to us, usual time, 5:30 on July 10th. And I'm excited to have them meet you. Sorry that you won't be here. But,
I'm excited for them to meet me.
are you? Good. And,
I might have to find service just so I can watch this. Can we have it,
oh yeah,
put online?
well, it'll be streaming. It's live streamed.
Yeah, I'll be up in the UP, but I might just get on and watch anyway.
That would be great. That would be great.
Okay, I've only got a couple things,
Yeah.
for chapter 6, if we just wanna, just in case you wanna talk to them about.
Yeah.
6.2. Go down to 6.2, Stacy.
Special meetings.
Okay, yeah, where it says the second sentence, written notice stating the time, purpose, and location of a special meeting shall be delivered personally. That's a little outdated.
Really outdated.
Come on, Tam.
Can I do that if we keep it, though? I want to be the deliverer. I'll
Do you
get a
promise? You'll be the deliverer?
In there.
Don't make idle gestures, Amy.
That one's gotta
Careful what you wish
be
for.
updated a little bit.
Okay, how do you want this to read, Tam?
Well, I don't wanna limit it to say just email, but to whatever means available.
Well, now,
Get rid of the word
get rid,
written.
I was just gonna say, you wanna get rid of written.
A notice stating the time,
Well,
purpose.
written notice means the agenda. That means the agenda. So the agenda will be, delivered to them.
Okay,
That's the agenda. That needs to be there. It's written notice is the agenda. It's the delivered personally.
you wanna just,
Take out.
through, as we have said before, by whatever means available, or electronically.
Okay, so Stacy, I get rid of, or left at the member's usual place of residence, get rid of that. Email's good.
Maybe you wanna say something?
Do we even want to specify email?
Right.
I mean, 10 years from now, who knows if we're using
Well, that's
email
true.
as our
You
primary
might
thing.
not even have any email. You're right.
Yeah, whatever means available
Yeah,
might be,
whatever
can't you
means
just
available.
say?
Please tell me we're not doing it through TikTok or something.
No, our robot overlords will have this all under
Our robot
control.
A
overlord.
little bit formal.
Yeah, you may be right.
Maybe you could just make the criteria email. Just.
I'm gonna stick this into AI and see what it says about
I was
They
thinking,
say in 10 years, there may not be any email.
what about
chat.
what if we just put, see, delivered to each member of the city commission
Period.
at least 3 hours prior to the time set for the meeting by the preferred communication method of the commissioner?
Why do we even need
Do
to
we
put
have to
something in
be-
there? Just, it needs to be delivered within 3 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah, why does that have to be that
that's
specific?
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Okay, what will you
'Cause
say?
that would leave it open to whatever communication down the road.
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah, so go ahead and read it with the strikeouts if you
Written
want.
notice stating the time, purpose, and location of a special meeting shall be delivered to each member of the city commission at least 3 hours prior to the time set for the meeting. Now, I would hope the heck they would have, because Open Meetings Act says we have to have it posted 18 hours beforehand.
Right.
But I'm gonna not let them know for 3 hours before. I'm not thinking that's gonna fly.
We'll hear the comments again. We just found out about this on Friday.
Does that need changed based on
I don't
the
know that
other
we have to
requirement?
say, I don't know if we have to give any hours. Why do we have to give any hours? Let me see, written notice shall state the time, purpose, and location of a special meeting shall be delivered to each of the city commission.
We could change it to match what the Open Meeting Act, if you want to just do that, say at least 18 hours prior to the,
Probably, yeah, I'm gonna say we have to at least.
we
Right.
could just do that, just put at least 18 hours prior to the,
let's think about what happened.
I'm sure they're gonna look
let's-
earlier.
What happened with John's resignation. How much in advance did you know you had to set a special meeting?
Well, it's 18 hours in advance, but,
No, but when John resigned,
yes, I know that, but still has to be 18 hours in advance. We've had more time than that. But we can't have any shorter than that. So, let's see, John, let's see. I don't care. When did we have the meeting?
you had it on Tuesday the 4th? No, Monday the 3rd. You had Monday the
Monday
3rd.
the 3rd. We probably knew maybe Thursday, Friday, prior to that. Of course, and then Mark would have called, you know, all the commissioners.
Yeah.
You know, but this is good, at least 18, because, I mean, you have to have at least, that's the least time you could have.
Yeah, well, that does seem, that conforms with the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
The 18 hours. So I'm not sure where they got the 3 hours.
I'm sure they'll get more time, but if there's, if say we had a tornado and they had to convene, you know what I mean, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be right there at the 18 hour. I mean, we have to have a special meeting, half our buildings are gone.
In which case, it becomes moot.
In accordance with the Open Meetings Act? Or take it out completely? Or do you want to leave it at 18 hours? Then if the Open Meetings Act changes,
Yeah, they'll, you know, that gets sticky,
I do like that.
There we go, yeah, according to the Open Meetings Act. That way, it's always gonna be good.
So take the hours number out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that what we're saying, each member shall be delivered to each member of the city commission, what, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act? Is that what you're saying?
Which would be, right now it's 18 hours, but it could change, you're right, it could change. 18 for you, so that's-
Strike that. Strike it.
Yeah, and then I don't know what to do about 6.6, number C. Okay, it says here, after every commission meeting, we do a little synopsis that gets put into the Pioneer about what happened. You know, we had a meeting on this date, these people were present, and then here's the resolutions that were adopted.
What are we looking at here?
C under six.
6.6C.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
So it says official proceedings of the city commission or a synopsis showing the substance of each separate proceeding shall be published in available media in the city within 15 days after each meeting of city commission, which we do. It's just a little blurb that says award bid for so-and-so, resolution adopted, you know, stuff like that. It says when it started, who was there for the commissioners, and when it ended. What I got a little problem is that if the synopsis is to be published, it shall be prepared by the city clerk and approved by the mayor. I don't run that by the mayor. I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? It's not the minutes. The commission approves the minutes, the official minutes. The mayor and the commission approve the official minutes. I don't see any reason why he needs to do my tiny little, you know, thing for the paper.
You want to take out the approved by the mayor?
Yeah. Because that's just too cumbersome and it just doesn't need to be. He approves the official minutes. These are not even official minutes. These are just, we approved resolution 1, 2, 3, 4. We did a street paving, we did a biosolids, we did, you know, it just, if anybody's ever seen that in the paper when I write up, has anybody ever seen it?
I have.
It's in the classifieds and it's, you know what I mean? It's just,
I'm wondering, is there something that says that we have to have this in there? Because, you know, nowadays thinking of technology and how we have it on YouTube
I
and,
need the Open Meetings Act.
does it? Okay.
Everybody does.
I wondered because I was gonna say now, like,
We have to have, if we have the
local
Pioneer,
paper,
we have
gotcha.
to publish.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, we would be putting it on the website and saving a whole lot of money.
Well, I was just wondering because like today there was a question out there in Facebook about how somebody's questioning why isn't there a sidewalk down by the pool? And I directed them, I said, here, go watch this YouTube video, and I shared the YouTube link from the last meeting and said, this will tell you everything you need to know. And so, yeah, I just wondered if Yeah, if it's even,
Yeah, if we.
makes sense probably
If we
with-
didn't
yeah.
have a paper, then we would be able to put all of this stuff
Gotcha.
over, because we spend a lot of money because we
uh,
have.
yeah, exactly, trying to say, yeah.
So we're just striking and approved by the mayor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to specify who's preparing it, or,
No, it should be the city clerk,
okay.
absolutely. That's who's gonna be, yeah, that's who's gonna be doing this, and, you know, or designee. I mean, if you wanna put designee in there or designee, that's fine too, because sometimes Karen does,
Or their
the meetings.
designee.
That would be fine.
Okay, good.
And that's the only two things I had for chapter six.
Okay.
I think there was also some recommendations from the city staff for section 6.1. They wanted to add virtual meetings as an option.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Stacy.
6.1.
They wanted to add virtual meetings as an option.
Must.
Okay, it said,
Where are you looking exactly?
we might have an issue with that one. Open Meetings Act does not allow for virtual meetings. Unless you're
Even post-COVID.
seeing it's post-COVID, no.
It's only allowed during COVID.
Yes. And it's only allowed, the only person who could actually have a virtual to have a voting rights is if they're in the military, active in the military. And they're not here. Otherwise, you cannot have virtual meetings and vote. Mm-mm. You know who that was, Stacy? That,
I don't have it in my notes, no.
yeah, no, that's, can't happen.
And 6.2.
Can I ask something real quick too? Sorry, I'm a little bit ahead. I'm kind of where we left off right before 6.7. It feels very pointed to say the official proceedings of the city commission shall be kept in the English language. This, no, what I'm saying is, to me, this feels
Yeah.
like somebody saying, you're gonna speak English or you're not gonna speak anything here at all. Is there a way that we can maybe take this to wordsmithing or something so that it comes across?
Or just eliminate it.
Yeah, does it have to be in there?
Well, that was my question, but I assume it was put in there because somebody
Exactly that
did need to
reason.
stipulate it, but the way it's stipulated here seems a little bit pointed. And,
Let's do some research on that one.
yeah.
Yeah, we need more.
Okay. I do, because we got a little ahead of our agenda, good on us. Are we cooking with steam here? But
I was gonna say, that's a good
I did want to make sure that we get to discussing the plans for public outreach.
I actually, Jennifer, I brought that up, those two things I had, because I won't be here at the next meeting. I have to
The
take,
July meeting?
I have to take my dad up to Traverse City to his, eye doctor, and there was no other, I couldn't rearrange it any other way.
Oh, well, that's good.
Right.
Glad you brought that up. Sorry.
So that's why I just kind of wanted to,
I got it. No, that's fine.
I would like to ask the board, the commission next week, their opinion on that, what was it, 513, the one about the term limit. See if they have any, what their opinions are next week.
Oh, yes,
So that's,
that's a great idea. 5.13, right?
yeah.
see.
I was going to send them an email. They've already got this on their schedule, just kind of a formal invite and just explain what we're looking for from them. Do you want me to ask in that email? You know, we are looking at the possibility of the term limit question. We'd appreciate your input.
Yeah, section 5.5.
Very good.
Maybe send them that section and chapter 6, so that they can all look at it before they get here. I
They
mean, I'm
have
sure it will be in the
copies of the
packet.
charter? Do they all get, they all have copies of the charter, do they not? Or do they?
Yes, yeah, they should have in their handbook. Just let them know what chapters you're,
Okay. Mr. Paholka and I had a chat about the public outreach. Brian is very interested in getting going with this, particularly he brought to my attention, he's already talked to Josh Piles that we could have a table at the farmer's market for the duration of
Yeah,
whatever they're.
whatever we want
Well,
to
they
have.
go until October.
October, yeah.
Right? But we talked about, we haven't really discussed this as a group yet, a strategy for public outreach, which we really should get going on. And there's different things to be considering. One is informing them about what we're doing and keeping up with our discussions. One is helping them understand what the charter is, how are we gonna do that. One is certainly things like, what parts of the charter do we need their input on? For example, the term limits thing, how are we gonna do that? What kind of information are we looking for? What kind of instruments are we gonna be using? And so we kind of thought, and Brian thought, that a subcommittee for outreach might be a good opportunity. Since like, we have the little wordsmithing thing, maybe if two or three of you would be interested in working on that together, and kind of hashing out those questions. So I would put it to you, if anyone, Brian is interested in doing that, is there anyone else that you would be interested in? Would you be interested in doing that as well? Is anyone else interested? Some ideas on the public outreach?
Or at least I should say, I don't want to occupy too many spaces on too many subcommittees when there's opportunities for others on there. I would just be happy to engage in any outreach they prescribe, I guess, so regardless of how I participate.
I think, your experience with surveys would be helpful. Think about surveys, they're not as easy as you think they are.
No, they're not.
It's not just slapping some questions on a piece of paper. You gotta be mindful about what you're asking, how you're asking it, so that you get as objective feedback as possible. The metrics of it, how we're gonna gauge, figure out the data in order to be able to use it for our benefit. And what is it, essentially the question is, what is it we really need? What kind of information do we need from the public? How do we translate that onto these instruments and gather some data so that we can, because I do want to be able to say at the end of this, and we have been reaching out to individuals for input already, and we've gotten staff input. But we do want the public to be clear that we are interested in their feedback on certain things. So,
Putting something in the utility bills, right?
sorry?
We had talked about putting something in utility bills, that would be more
Yeah.
of a broad,
Right.
like, volume strategy to get multiple.
But I'm completely hopeless with where the technology is concerned. So Stacy, I don't know if I can enlist you to help with that. You guys have more experience with that. Would you be willing, Ann, to get with Brian, do some brainstorming? Come back to us with kind of the outline of a strategy for how we can attack this in a reasonable way and start going on that. Does that work for you, Brian?
That works for me.
Okay, that's awesome.
Can we brainstorm on that, or are we beholden to report, or can we just communicate, if it's just
Just two of us, we
two
can
of us, we're
communicate.
okay, okay,
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
and just 5 is a quorum.
okay.
Okay,
And just apropos that, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as I'm only communicating with 1 or 2 of you at a time, as long as I'm not communicating with at least 5 of you, we're good as far as the Open Meetings Act is concerned. So, if you have ideas you want to bounce off me, just shoot me an email. We can have a 3-way interchange, and that's okay.
Sometimes phone calls are better.
Sometimes coffee dates are better.
less paper trail, huh?
Personally, I like coffee dates. Okay,
And use somebody else's phone.
yeah, absolutely.
Jeez, yeah. And then throw it away.
Okay, that is, I
Can
think,
I go over a little bit more on this?
absolutely.
some of the things I got is, utility bills, webpage, TV, possibly get 9 and 10 the news to do a story. Just to get the idea going.
Pioneer,
Yeah,
definitely
Pioneer.
need to approach the Pioneer. I don't know if Kathy Crew is covering us or
I
not. She
can-
does the city commission stuff.
I'll contact her.
Kathy is ours.
You know, she's,
To get 9 and 10, you want to start with something very toothsome for her. So I would say, wait until
got some,
something happens that's a little bit unique or special about this instance. Sell it to her, and then that'll get 9 and 10.
so to Kathy.
My daughter worked with 9 and 10, so she still has connections up
Oh,
there.
excellent.
So,
Nice in.
yeah, so,
They're gonna want something newsworthy.
Or at least
on. So let's think on that.
I'm just using
interesting.
That's great.
some groups we can contact. What organizations in the city would be a good place to go and give a spiel to at their meetings?
Rotary, absolutely. Rotary meets
You gotta
every
remember too, it's just,
Tuesday at noon.
we're targeting city residents. Township people aren't
GFWC,
voting on this.
Yeah,
GFWC,
um,
I'm blanking on it, sorry, DBA,
DBA,
yeah.
yeah. No, there are others. There's like a bazillion.
What
Community
about,
groups.
what about regardless housing, housing?
Yeah, you
Housing Commission?
talked to the housing.
yeah, Housing Commission, I wonder if they have, like, resident
A
meetings.
newsletter or something.
Yeah.
Might there be a way to engage the schools and treat this as a learning activity, as a way to connect to students' parents?
Kinda tricky.
But again, city resident,
Yeah, you're looking at,
that's the whole thing, you know, we're city residents. I'm just gonna be voting on this. But then that makes it hard.
No, we just throw it all something at the wall, and some's gonna stick with the people that are impacted, and some are just gonna roll their eyes and, get bored, but, if we throw it at enough things.
But what she's saying is, okay, we have
We don't want to spend a lot of time
people
targeting people
resources
ever.
that we can't, yeah, we don't wanna.
It's
I don't know
When the
if-
ballot comes around, they're gonna say, how, I thought that charter was gonna be on my ballot. No, it's not.
I don't know if they're still doing Boy State and Girl State.
They are.
Because I attended one of those down in Michigan State. And Mark Brecka, who teaches at the middle school, is very involved in recruiting kids. I don't know if you folks are familiar with this. It's a marvelous program. It's like an intensive week summer camp, if you will, for government, like at all levels. And the kids get assigned, I don't know how, if it's picking something out of a hat or whatever, but they get assigned like to be members of some group at some level of government, all the way from
It's like
city stuff through state legislature, and they get just like a really heavy-duty dose of what governing is about. And it might be nice to do either a presentation for them, or have them come and observe us, or some such thing as a, because of course city government doesn't sound as glamorous to them as, right, being a member of the state legislature or whatever, but
still a chance.
If we do something like that, that might also be our newsworthy.
I was just gonna
as
say,
well.
and that's a tasty thing for
What was
them.
that again? Northern Boys State?
Boys State and Girls State.
Like having the local attendees come.
I could maybe approach Mark and get his take on this, maybe how we could do this. Like the girls go to Michigan State and the boys go to Grand Valley or something. I forget what, but it's like literally, it's nonstop for a full week, and they are like so completely exhausted by the end of it. But what I remember from my visit there, and I went with one of my AAUW ladies, because we're also very keen on, for girls, women in leadership, learning about leadership, and it was fun to stand in line in their cafeteria and listen to what they were talking about, and they were talking about it. Right? They weren't talking about Taylor Swift or any, the pop culture stuff. They were talking about what they were engaged in, which was really cool. And this is something that we really struggle with as a country, how to get that word out, how to make it exciting for people to understand how government works. So it might be a nice hook for the 9 and 10 news.
A lot of, I think younger adults are starting to understand that if you really are interested in being a politician, making a difference, you start at local government. And people are starting to get that sense of service back, so.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you have the city newsletter, our Facebook page.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you mention radio either.
I wonder if we couldn't pin on the Facebook page and on the web page, just like a link that would take them directly to the survey. I think we talked about that before. And like if we did farmers market or something like that, we can have a QR code that people can scan that'll take them to the survey.
How do you create a QR code?
There's a bunch of different ways.
Yeah,
The best
bunch of
one
different
is to use my Adobe subscription to actually go on their site and use their free generator. But there are other free, like truly free, unpaid, like you don't have to have an account or anything.
Not as hard as you think it is.
What is
It's really, it's
I don't need
automatically,
it for after I adjourn the meeting, but like, what exactly is that thing?
Barcode.
it's a barcode.
It takes you to a
It's a
website.
secret language.
It's
I,
Citizen Alliance.
Apropos, Jennifer's suggestion, I frequently do radio spots for AAUW for our book sale, so I know those folks, so I can do that too if we want to add that to your mix. I'm thinking particularly if we have something we want the public to be responding to.
That Friday morning show on Sunny FM.
Carlene, yeah,
Yes,
I was on
Carlene.
it just a little bit ago.
Do that too.
We had somebody we wanted to have go on, I could put him in touch with her, I'm sure she'd.
Do that. I'm happy to do that. I don't want to hog it all. If somebody else is interested.
That's a.
Yeah, I'm always
I
afraid
love
of
going on
swear when I
Carlene's
go
show.
on
It's
there.
fun.
She was lovely, but I
Well-
felt very awkward on the radio.
Truthfully, Carlene has been a great supporter. When I was a city commissioner, I'd put both hats on because I would have an AAUW thing I want to hawk, like our book sale, but then I put my city commission hat on and she would ask me what's going on in the city and all that. It's a great way for outreach to her audience, and she's just very supportive of that. So whatever media we can get through, the more the merrier, I suppose.
It's kind of the same, I get the impression it's often the same group of people week to week, but the Ferris Community Summer Band concert, like we just hosted them at the jail. But they do, I think, bi-weekly or weekly concerts. That might be another place where they would let us like have a little table. They might not want us to because it might detract from, like, that usually it's an organization that's having a fundraiser that's using the fact that they're there to raise awareness, but it might be something that.
Well, the city also has their concert series over at Grand Chill.
Yeah.
That would, and
And
that's
the
a,
Pocket Park
The
ones.
Pocket Park ones, and
That
then
coincides with farmer's market.
Right, he's gonna be the farmer's market. Right, I was thinking
And
that
they
too.
have people assigned already? Unless they would be willing to do 2 people. They have people assigned at Pocket Park. Those are nonprofits that
yeah.
stand up and tell about their.
But we might be thinking about just a simple flyer or
yeah.
bookmark,
maybe
a big
should be-
bookmark or something that we could
Just have
hand
table
out.
tents there.
Something that's easy to hand out that people wouldn't just throw in the trash. So I think our budget allows for some of that, right? We have a budget for some of that material. Okay,
And I was gonna, at this farmer's market, I was thinking of getting a bulletin board and posting our changes are to the charter, what we've got going here with all the changes in, and sticking them on a board and underneath, what do you think of this? Have a suggestion box, these are what we're thinking, and,
Because we do have we have some trifold bulletin
Oh.
boards, you know what I mean? That we use for elections. We got a box of those.
we got
That'd
do
be
that, so that's what I think, just,
easy to do.
and yeah, that's an easy one.
And actually, I could get Steve to make that up. That'd be pretty easy.
terrific.
Okay.
Were they gonna provide a table for us, or we have to bring our own
We have to
table?
bring our own stuff, I think.
So this is like you're talking about a card
Table.
table.
For the farmer's market, yeah.
I got tables.
Yeah, there's plenty of tables, that's the least. We just gotta figure out how often we wanna do it and who wants to do it. I don't mind doing it, a couple times a month. And if that's enough, then I'll go down there for 4 or 5 hours during the day and,
Same, I would take a shift.
I would take a shift
There are times I could, Fridays are trickier.
if I'm here.
yeah.
Jelly ball.
Yeah. Sure.
And I'd be by the cheese people.
I wanna be next to the popcorn people.
By the cheese people, I will take that day.
Okay, great job this evening, folks. Thank you so much. I know we were all a little bit tired, but I think we,
Yeah, this was a good.
so let me formally adjourn. There's no other business. And, except for Tammy and Jennifer, we will see, I'm not sure about you. We'll see what
Right,
happens.
we'll see what happens.
Are they actually making a decision on Monday?
We don't know.
Okay. All right. So in any case, have a great rest of your week.
Oh, and as far as
Okay.
words with the read,
Still with us?
we probably didn't
get
do
that, I
enough
would have to
tonight
step
that
down
we need
from
to
the board
meet,
since I
so
will be
maybe
a
after the
city
next meeting, we look
That's
at
what I would.
Yeah, we
together and-
can,
Oh, we will miss you.
yeah, we
That
can
happens.
decide how
Good
often
luck.
we do that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much, everybody. Stace, thank you. We got a lot done tonight.
It really did.
Quick.
It's seriously, it was just section